Hi everyone, and welcome back to Faith and Flower. In today's Q&A video, I'm going to be answering all of your questions. This is my first Q&A video on my channel, and I'm excited to answer all of your questions. You guys posted some really great ones both on my YouTube channel and on Instagram, so I want to thank you for that. But before I start answering your questions, I just want to say a couple of things. First of all, to all of the new subscribers that have recently joined our channel here, I just want to say welcome. We're so excited to have you be a part of our Faith and Flower community. And for those of you that have been with me from the start, I can't thank you enough for all the love and support that you have given me. It really means more than I can say. And I have loved getting to know you guys in the comment section. Faith and Flower has grown to over 20,000 viewers, and that has been wonderful. And I love that I'm able to reach so many more people and get to know so many more of you through the comments. However, I am just not able to answer every single comment anymore. So what I will do is on the first day that I upload a new video, I will definitely answer as many comments as I possibly can, and I will continue to read all of your comments. So know that every single comment, even on past videos, I'm trying my best to read, but I just can't always answer each one of them, and I hope you guys will understand. But if you have a question that you really want answered, just try to post it on the first day that I publish a video, and I will do my best to get to it. Now let's get into the questions. You guys had some great ones. They covered all different sorts of areas. And so what I did was try to kind of break them down and group them into different categories. And a lot of the questions are repeated. So hopefully I will answer each of your questions as best as I can. I didn't go through and, answer each one individually using your name. I hope that's okay. But there were so many overlapping questions that I found this was a more efficient way to do it. And hopefully I will get a lot more material covered this way. The first set of questions I will group into what I'm calling the personal category. And so I will try to answer these questions as best I can without being too specific, just to protect my family's privacy. And these questions are in no particular order. The first question was, did you go to college and what was your major? Yes, I did go to college, and my major was marketing and visual and apparel merchandising. The next question is, did you work before having kids? Yes, I did. I worked out of college in my field, and as I was working there, I had a job offer from a previous employer. I had worked for some doctors at a medical facility, and I had gotten a job offer from one of those doctors that basically doubled my pay. And I actually really loved working in the medical field a lot more. So that is what I did up until the time that I had children. How did you meet your husband, and how long have you been married? So I met my husband, Patrick, when we were 12 years old. My family had moved from the south to the north. We had just moved there, and we attended the same church. So we went to separate schools, but we became friends through our church, and we were friends throughout high school, but didn't really start dating until our senior year of high school. So we pretty much know everything there is to know about each other, which I think makes for a really great start to a marriage. What does your husband do for a living? Patrick is an electrical engineer, and he designs computer chips. So he pretty much spends his day on the computer, and he works remotely for a company in California. Is Peyton enjoying his workplace? Our son Peyton has autism. He is a special needs young adult, and he works for a program called Brookwood in Georgetown, and he loves it, and we are so happy with that. And if you want more information on it, I have a whole video about it. What are your hobbies? So I have had lots of hobbies over the years, and I always really need some sort of creative outlet going on in my life. And so I have enjoyed things like photography, cross-stitching, even some crocheting. Things like that have always been very fulfilling for me. And currently I really get a lot of fulfillment from doing YouTube because I'm enjoying the photography aspect, and I also really enjoy the creative process of editing. So that kind of ticks off the boxes for me now, which is a real win-win when it comes to an occupation. And for hobbies that we participate in now, mostly are family-related activities. We really like to do little day trips. We like hiking quite a bit. We enjoy water sports. We don't do that quite as much anymore. We like to do snow skiing, and I really enjoy reading. So anytime I have a little extra time or time to myself, I love to read, and I read fiction, I read nonfiction. I just love learning new things. So that is what I enjoy doing, and those are my hobbies. Why are you letting your hair grow gray? And so I think I've answered this question. I have 3 videos on this topic. I just want to be my authentic self. And that's not a judgment on anyone who chooses to dye their hair. I've done that for years. But I just feel very comfortable with myself at this point in my life. And I don't feel the need for artificial hair color. I think that the color that God gave me will be fine. And I'm looking forward to seeing what my true authentic hair looks like. If I get to the point where I'm really not happy with it, and a lot of you have expressed concern that I might look washed out or worn out, or that I'm letting myself go, and if I feel that, then I can always go back to dyeing my hair. When it comes to hair, my philosophy is it's never a permanent decision. You can color it, you can cut it, it will always grow back. There's no reason to have so much drama surrounding our hair. And I'm just sort of hoping to be another person out there that embraces aging gracefully and just accepts the process, and not always trying to fight it and to conform to what people want to put on us as far as that youth is the only beauty. I think that older women can be quite beautiful, and I get tons of inspiration for gray hair on Instagram, and there are 2 hashtags that I really like to follow. One is called Grombre and the other one is called Silver Sisters. Women post their pictures there of them in various types of gray hair, from completely white to silver to salt and pepper to just a few highlights, and they are of all ages and they are all beautiful, and I just love that so many more women are feeling comfortable doing that. So I want to be a part of that, and that is the main reason. And I just don't want to spend any more time and effort and money on putting artificial hair color on my hair. Are your parents still living, and do they live close by? Patrick and I are both blessed that we still have our parents with us, and neither one of them live very close by. Patrick's family lives in Switzerland, and my parents live in North Carolina. And so I'm originally from the East Coast, and Patrick's family is from Switzerland, although he grew up here in the United States. So we have the opportunity to travel either to the East Coast from Texas or to Switzerland fairly regularly, so we feel very blessed. And things like FaceTime have made it really nice. We keep in touch with them and FaceTime about once a week, more if necessary. And so we don't feel the distance quite as much as if we didn't have that. I just partially answered this next question, but it is, when did you move to Austin and where did you live before? So we moved to Austin 4 years ago from North Carolina, and we have really enjoyed it. We originally came out here for Patrick's job. We really like the area. It's quite different from North Carolina. We have enjoyed exploring it, and we still continue to do that. The climate is a little bit of an adjustment for me. I really enjoyed the 4 distinct seasons that we had in North Carolina, and here it feels like summer 3/4 of the year with a very mild winter, which isn't always a bad thing, I guess. But I'm kind of a cold winter and snow person. Like I said earlier, I love to snow ski, and just having snow around, I think it's very magical and fun. So I do miss that. But on the upside, here in Austin, a lot of people spend time outside, and there are lots of great trails. We love hiking, so we get a lot of enjoyment outside here for a lot more of the year than we could in North Carolina. How do you keep fit? Now, this is a big question because there's not just one simple answer, and I'd love to do an expanded video on this, a separate video, and I'll probably do that with a lot of your questions because I would love to get into more detail about things like that. But I would just say the biggest thing is probably portion control, and I try not to limit myself too much because I do enjoy indulgences, sweets. I have more of a sweet tooth instead of like savory snacks and things like that, although I do enjoy those too. And our family we're real foodies. We really enjoy a lot of different types of foods, and so that's a big part of our lives, and I don't want to limit myself on what I eat, so I limit portion size. That's kind of my secret. And then we just try to stay active doing things like hiking and walking, and I also do yoga. So the next category are sort of YouTube related questions, and I had a few of these, so I'll try to answer them quickly. First of all, what does Faith and Flour mean? So originally, when we moved here 4 years ago, I started a blog called Faith and Flour. And what I put on that was recipes that I converted from our family favorites to gluten and soy-free recipes, because our son Peyton has autism, and so we've had him on a gluten-free and soy-free diet for probably 12 years or so now. And we've also recently discovered that he has celiac disease, so we need to continue that diet. And I just was having a hard time finding good recipes that my family enjoyed. And so as I converted a lot of our family favorites, I thought it would be great to have a place to keep them for family and friends to access, and the occasional viewer, because not many people read that blog. So my YouTube channel grew out of that blog, and that is what I started with, was posting recipes. I've taken some of those down just because I wasn't really happy with the quality of those videos. When you start YouTube, it's just a big experiment. So I was very uncomfortable in front of the camera. That really showed. And you know, my editing skills were not great. But anyway, I will continue to show you some of our family's favorite recipes, and I'll answer a few of your meal prep type questions a little bit later in the video. When did you start YouTube? So my channel has been up for just about 2 years now. It has taken some time to get started. The first year was pretty slow, but things have been picking up lately, and it's been really rewarding. How does your family feel about you posting YouTube videos? Specifically, the question was about cleaning videos, but they are very supportive. I think in the beginning, they probably thought it was kind of weird. And most of the time, they kind of try to steer clear of my videos. There are times when they enjoy getting involved, but for the most part, it's just a one-woman show. And I get Patrick to help me occasionally with filming. Peyton has helped out just a little bit here and there too. I have, you know, kind of a basic plan in my head about how I want something filmed, what angles that I want to get. And sometimes I don't even know it until I see it. So it's not easy for me to have help with things like filming. And of course, editing is something I enjoy and want to do. So it's pretty much just me. So they don't mind, and they have gotten more and more comfortable with it. And now it's just kind of part of our life. What would you do if you were not on YouTube? So before YouTube, I have been a stay-home mom since Peyton was a young child. Patrick and I made that decision because we found out that he had special needs, and we felt that that was where I was needed most instead of pursuing a career. And that was not an easy decision as a young couple to decide to live on one income, but we made it work because that was a priority for us. So over the years, as Peyton needed me a little bit less and less, I had time to do things like be a Bible study leader at our church. I've been involved in women's ministry for a number of years, and that took up quite a bit of my time. I also had the freedom to volunteer at my children's schools and with their various activities, Patrick as well. So that gave us freedom to do those things that I might not have been able to do if I had been working outside the home. These next questions are related to my faith. So, how long have you been a Christian? I became a Christian when I was 11 years old. I knew that that was a decision that I wanted to make at that point in time, and I think that God really got a hold of me at a time in my life when he knew I was going to need him in the future. He's been very faithful, and I wavered a lot between age 11 when I made that choice and my adulthood, making a lot of bad choices, but I feel like God protected me, and because I had that base, I was able to come back to it. And it's a very long story. Maybe I can get into that in a later video, but I will say that as I grew and started realizing that I wasn't doing a very good job of being in charge of my own life, I knew that I needed to turn over the reins and let God take control. And since doing that, my life has improved for the better. And definitely my walk with God and my faith has grown. Do you attend a particular church regularly? And the answer is yes. It's always been really important for us to find a church home, and that was a very high priority when we moved here to Austin. And we have been members of a church here in Austin where I have been involved in women's ministry. Our church also has a really wonderful special needs program, and that has been a real highlight for Peyton. He has made so many friends there, and it has become something that Peyton really looks forward to each week. They also get together and do different activities, and our church sponsors Night to Shine, which is a special needs prom that is sponsored by Tim Tebow's Association. That is something that our church just absolutely loves to take part in. We have more volunteers than we can even use, so that's an exciting thing at our church, and we are really blessed to have that, and I hope that more churches will model a program like we have. How do you live out your faith in daily life? And that is a really hard question to answer in a video like this. Even if I did a dedicated video, I'd probably have a tough time answering this really well. But I think the key to that is staying in God's Word. And so I read the Bible chronologically every year to ensure that I am reading God's Word every day. This inspires me. It helps me learn more about God and who He is and how to be more like Him. I discover more what God's will is for my life by doing that. It's just the only way that I can stay grounded in my faith and to live it out, as you're asking. How do you serve the Lord in your relationship with your husband and children? Again, that is something that could take all day for me to answer. And the simple answer is just to basically do what Jesus would do. We are to serve others. And so I take a lot of pleasure in serving my husband and my children. That is not always easy to do, and something that I certainly could never do in my own power. The only way I can do that is to give myself over to the Holy Spirit and allow Him to lead me in doing that. And I have to check myself a lot. You know, selfish thoughts definitely come into your head all the time. But when I think about serving my husband and my children, I think about serving Jesus, because that's what we're called to do. It's just something that you have to rededicate yourself to doing, you know, day by day, even moment by moment at times. What are your favorite Bible study tools, devotions, and Christian authors? I'm just going to refer you to my Amazon channel because I have a whole section on that in there. And so I have listed the books that are my favorite that I really enjoy using. And I have a dedicated video on my Bible study resources. If you guys are interested, I will give you sort of an updated video on that sometime in the near future. There's a particular reading plan that I'm using this year that I really like called the Bible Recap. The Bible Recap is a daily chronological reading plan, and there is a little bit of commentary that you can listen to on a separate podcast, also called the Bible Recap, so you can download that wherever you get your podcasts. And I think that this is going to be a really great way to read through the Bible this year. I like to switch it up a little bit every year, and I help lead a study where I do this with a group of women, and they are really responding to it. So if you are looking for a way to read God's Word each day, I would highly recommend it. Your parenting related questions. What chores did your children do when they were younger? So this changed according to their age, but we always tried to give them responsibilities that we knew that they could be successful with. And of course, we changed those as they got older and were able to do more. So just things like, you know, picking up their own toys at the end of their playtime. We used to try to make that really fun and have bins that were organized enough so that it would be easy for them to know which items go where. Also just things like helping set the table, helping clear off the table, making their bed every day, and just certain, you know, cleaning tasks around the house like dusting. I find that our kids like to grab a duster or even the vacuum and help out. And even though it wasn't perfect, it was valuable. The goal is to encourage them. So we just did that over time. As they got older, more and more responsibilities. That's how we did it. How do the kids' problems affect your relationship with your husband? Only one person asked this question, but I thought it was a great question. And I want to address it because I see a lot of moms putting their children first before their marriage. And I really think that the reverse needs to happen. I think that your marriage should be your first priority and then your children. If your marriage is strong, that the parenting will be much easier. I think parents need to be on the same page and to work as a team, and also that your children know that you are not easily divided. When our kids would come ask us a question, wanting something, they could never play us against each other. They couldn't come to me and say, Mom, could I have this or could I do that? Knowing that their dad wasn't going to be okay with it, because they knew I would be checking with him first and vice versa. So I think that being a united front as parents is super important. And I know that is one of the things that is super difficult if you are in a divorce and you have to share custody with a spouse that you might not agree with. I know that that has to be extremely difficult. And if you are fortunate enough to have a partner and co-parent together, I would really, really work on that relationship and make sure that you can be on the same page as much as possible. And when you disagree about something, keep that between the two of you, not letting your kids know that you disagree about something related to them. And I also think that when your kids have problems, it will be a lot easier for you to deal with them as a couple if you have that united front and you have that solid relationship with each other. Do you have advice for parents of special needs children? Since we have a child with special needs, I could probably give you a lot of advice about that. Again, it would be hard for me to answer that here. I would just say that each child is individual, whether they have special needs or not. So your job as a parent is to figure out what that child needs and to provide it as best you can. When you have a child with special needs, you can't worry about, if you're giving them equal time, because they're going to demand extra time. And as far as another question that I got was, how do you keep your neurotypical child from feeling that they've been left out or that they're not getting enough of your time and attention? That's just something that you'll have to work on. And I do know that as our boys were growing up, I tried to give Kyle, our neurotypical child, a lot of individual attention as well. And being a stay-home mom, it was a little bit easier for me to do. I know that's not so easy if you work outside the home and you have limited time with your family. Our family dynamic was kind of reversed because our oldest child had special needs. So lots of times our younger child felt like the older brother and we treated him as such. So giving him a little bit more responsibility, I think, also made him feel more needed and wanted and respected in our family. How do you deal with feeling alone when your child went away to college? Well, for us, we basically sent our child off to college and then moved. So I was really busy and, occupied with getting a lot of things set up in a new town, a new state, new everything. So I would say that really helped. It was a very difficult thing, as you know, to let your children go, but that is really our goal. So if that's happening, then that means you were doing things the right way. And, we're very proud of him to let him go. It was the right time in his life to do that. And I just cherish the moments when he is at home. And again, like with our parents, we like to FaceTime. And that makes us feel a lot closer to him and we don't feel the distance quite as much. So I would just say, focus on the positive, and when you have time together, make the most of it. This next set of questions are related to being a stay-home mom and homemaker. So, do you get negative comments about being a stay-home mom and homemaker? And so I haven't experienced a lot of negative comments over the years. Of course, I've heard things from people. Sometimes I don't know if they're joking or if they're serious when they say, oh, you're a lady of leisure, or, when they ask what you do and you say homemaker, you feel like, they kind of dismiss you or whatever. You have to learn to let that go. I think being a homemaker and a stay-home mom is a very noble profession. And it's actually a real privilege because a lot of women don't get to do that. I know that a lot of women would love to do that. Now, of course, there are a lot of women that really enjoy working in the workforce. And I think that that is the wonderful thing about living where we do and living in the times that we live in, is that we have this choice. And so I think that I just don't worry about anybody else's judgment. I know that this is a valuable thing for my family, and I feel very fulfilled in doing it. How do you deal with negative comments about working from home? So this is sort of on the other end of the spectrum, because I do work at home now. Questions like, doesn't your husband make enough? Or why don't you use your time to volunteer? So I've only had these sorts of questions since I've been on YouTube. Some negative comments from people. They see where we live and they say, doesn't your husband make enough money? why do you need to be on YouTube? Or why are you cleaning your home when you could hire, a maid, all those sorts of things. I just dismiss them all. I try to delete them if I catch them. I just feel like it's super negative for people to say that. They don't really want an answer. They are just feeling insecure themselves and, wanting to take you down. So I would say that's probably the same whether you have a YouTube channel or not. If people are giving you comments like that about what you choose to do, you just have to realize that those sort of comments say more about the person making them than it does about you. And you just need to feel secure about your decisions and be proud of what you do. Finance questions, and there were quite a few of those, but they basically boil down to these two things. How do you manage or keep track of your family's finances, and how do you save money? So I think that this would be worthy of an entire video. So if you would like a dedicated video on that, please let me know in the comments. But basically, we are pretty meticulous about our money. We are pretty frugal. We are actually debt-free, and it took a lot of hard work to get there, but we track all of our money. So everything that comes in, we budget, and we are very careful about how we spend our money, and we track everything. So everything bought, gets recorded at home. We use Quicken. I find that to be the easiest thing. And I'm also just starting to implement a paper planner for budgeting from Erin Condren. So I'd like to include that in a future video if you guys are interested. So if you prefer a paper budget, that's a great way to do it too. There's just no way around it. You have to be pretty meticulous. You can't spend money frivolously and expect to be able to save it and manage it well. Meal prep questions. So do I meal prep? And yes, I do. I don't think it's super strict, but again, an entire video on this would be great. And if you're interested, let me know. I do sort of a weekly meal plan, but we have a lot of recipes that we enjoy, so I can easily, if I have a busy week, just fall back on those things and know that I have kind of a repertoire of things that my family is going to enjoy that are pretty easy to prepare because I've done it lots of times. I think, that is a really great strategy, but I also really like to try new recipes. So I try to find ways to incorporate that as well. And so a video on meal planning would be really fun to make. And I think I will try to do that sometime soon. Can you explain your plant-based diet? So we are not entirely plant-based. We did try a fully vegan plant-based diet. I did exclusively for almost 18 months, and I found it hugely beneficial for my health, but not so easy all the time on my family. And Patrick was, pretty on board as well too. Peyton, not so much. So we had to come to a compromise as a family. And so now we do have meat, I would say maybe once or twice a week at most. And the rest of the time we do plant-based. My sort of philosophy now on plant-based eating is not necessarily taking things out of your diet, but adding them in. The more whole plant-based foods that you can add into your diet, the more other things that are not so desirable will be pushed out. Junk foods and meats and things that are not as healthy will just naturally get pushed out because you can only eat so much. So we try to have as many plant-based meals as we can during the week. And then, some recipes that are family favorites that include meat, we will have as well. Can you recommend some plant-based recipe resources? And so again, if you look at my Amazon store, I have a couple of my favorite plant-based cookbooks, but I honestly find the majority of my recipes online. And I enjoy watching other people's YouTube videos that do plant-based meals, like Rainbow Plant Life. She has a lot of great recipes. Because I like cooking, I like to get creative with my recipes. So oftentimes I will find a recipe and then I will do a lot of adjustments and tweaking to kind of make it my own. 10-item wardrobe questions. What did your wardrobe look like before implementing the 10-item wardrobe? And so this was a popular question, and I would have to say it was probably like any other typical woman. I enjoyed shopping. I never had a plan for shopping. So lots of times I would have items in my closet that didn't coordinate well with other things. And I would say that I, wasn't a shopaholic. I didn't have, a ton of new clothes all the time. But because I didn't have a plan, I just shopped on whim. And so that has stopped. but also my closet was filled with clothes that I just didn't declutter. So I had clothes from, 10 years ago, or from, a size that I haven't worn in a long time, thinking, oh, I'm going to lose the weight and be able to wear that again, that sort of thing. So, my closet was crowded with items that I just accumulated but never purged. Do you find the 10-item wardrobe restricting or freeing? And if you watched my videos, you probably know, without a doubt, I would say freeing. It may seem restrictive in the beginning because I think it's hard for us sometimes to wrap our heads around a totally new concept. It's a simple concept. It seems like, oh, it has all these rules and things. It really does not. It basically just boils down to having 10 core items in your wardrobe, and then, rounding them out with your accessories and a few extras that you have in your wardrobe. But once you realize that there are not a lot of restrictions to the 10-item wardrobe, that you can customize it in any way you want, I think that you will find it freeing too. I find it very freeing to be able to walk into my closet, know that everything in there is something that fits me, that flatters me, and that reflects my personal style. I can mix and match a lot of my items because that's how I constructed my wardrobe. So it makes it easy for me to wear all of my pieces together, and I find that very, very freeing. These next questions are related to cleaning, and because I do a lot of cleaning videos, I'm not surprised to get a lot of cleaning questions. And this one I think is related to cleaning. What is a typical day like? How much time do you spend cleaning? I would say that just varies so much, it's hard to say. But if you look at my daily cleaning routine video and my weekly cleaning routine video, you'll get a good idea about how I structure my time cleaning. As far as a typical day, I do spend a lot of time on my YouTube channel. I am filming, I'm editing, I'm researching, and working with different brands at times. So these things take a lot of my day, and I have to find ways to fit cleaning in. So just like anybody else, there are a lot of things for you to juggle. It's difficult sometimes to figure out how to find the time for cleaning. So I totally understand that. And in those two videos, I hope that I am giving you some suggestions for how to manage that a little bit better. And so for me, having a weekly cleaning routine that's very flexible really helps me because I know what I need to get done during the week, and I can shift those things around depending on my schedule for other things. Have you always been good at cleaning and organizing? I would say definitely no. My mom would laugh very hard at that because I was not organized. I was not good at cleaning growing up. I was the kind of kid who would shove everything under the bed or shove everything in a closet when told to clean my room. And so my mom's strategy was to, tell me that if everything under my bed and in my closet wasn't cleaned up, that's what I would be doing first thing Saturday morning. And I will tell you that there were several Saturday mornings that I remember as a kid where that is what I did. I was terrible at it. I would usually do a pretty good job when I was made to do it, but I wasn't good at maintaining it. So cleaning and organizing were skills that I had to learn. I definitely was not born with these gifts, and I had great role models. My mom was a really wonderful homekeeper. I had two grandmothers that were as well, and now a mother-in-law that does. So I have been able to learn from those women, see what they do as far as organizing and their cleaning routines, and figure out what works for me and what works for our family. And that is a passion that I have basically developed. And it's really funny to look back on how I was as a kid and, see how that is something that I actually even enjoy today. Where do you find motivation and inspiration? And this question was asked in a lot of different forms, but it basically boils down to that. Keeping up your home is a lot of work, and it is sometimes really hard to be motivated. And I enjoy watching cleaning videos just like you guys do. I find them very inspirational, and I get a lot of ideas and tips. But probably my chief inspiration is I like to have a clean and tidy home. And of course, the only way to have that is to clean and to organize and things like that. So I enjoy waking up in the morning and coming into a clean kitchen. So therefore, I'm motivated the night before to do the work that's necessary to have that. That I find motivating, and that's what is behind a lot of my cleaning routine strategies. This question made me chuckle. Do you ever leave clothes that you've worn that you know can be worn again, draped over a chair or something like that? And I laugh because that is something my husband loves to do. It kind of drives me crazy. I won't say I never do that. There are certainly nights, when we come in, if we have been out at a party or some event that's late in the evening and we're tired and we just take off our clothes and lay them over the chair. That happens for sure. But again, I am motivated by having clean spaces. So for me, it's worth it to take the extra minute. It's not even a minute. It's like 30 seconds to take off your clothes and hang them back up if you intend to wear them again. And if they need to be washed, put them in the hamper. Ask my kids, ask my husband. I'm saying that all the time. So you guys had a ton of very specific cleaning questions, and I'm not going to get to all of those today because I know this video is going to be very long, but I promise I will try to address as many as I can in a future video. And if you guys would like, I can even do an entire other Q&A video just dedicated to your cleaning questions. So if that is something that you're interested in, please let me know in the comments. I think that would be super fun, and I already have a great list to get started on. So if you are interested in that, leave your specific cleaning questions below and I will work on a video for that, and hopefully you will be seeing that soon if that's something that has a lot of interest. Thank you guys so much for watching today. This was a really fun video to do. It was fun to see what you're curious about and to answer all of your questions. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate your support, how much I have loved getting to know many of you in the comments, and I look forward to all that 2020 has to bring here on Faith and Flour. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give me a thumbs up. A thumbs up really helps out my channel so that my videos are suggested more and we can continue to grow our channel here. And if you like today's video and you want to see more, make sure you subscribe and activate the bell icon because then you'll be notified each time I upload a new video. I hope you guys have a great week. I'll see you in the comments and in the next video.